If people are engaged with the politics of their country, they will better understand where the government is going wrong. Once they have an understanding of the political problems, they will be better equipped to combat them. Good evening and welcome to National Talk on ECWA Television International. My name is Joyce Jakada, and tonight we shall be looking at some national issues alongside Barrister Godfrey Matthew. Before then, let's join Lois Strachey for the news updates. Good evening, Lois.
Good evening, Joyce. How are you doing today?
Thank you.
Straight to the news. Fire outbreak at NYSC headquarters in Abuja. NIS dismisses 8 personnel, sanctions 18 others. UK medical trip. Buhari refusal to transmit power to the vice president unconstitutional, says Clark. Ignore false terror alarm raised by foreign nations, Buhari. And in insecurity, terrorists demand 30 million naira ransom for 39 abducted Katsina's children. A fire incident was recorded at the National Youth Service Corps in Abuja on Friday. The commission said no life was lost in the abrupt fire outbreak, and it was limited to the 3rd floor of the 6-story building structure. This is contained in a statement issued by the Director of Press Relations, Eddie Mogwa, on Friday. He said, and I quote, "The fire was immediately put out by the Federal Capital Territory and Federal Fire Service Department when the incident occurred about 7:30 a.m. McGuire also said the affected floor is occupied by Planning, Research and Statistics and the General Service Department, with the fire affecting only a specific room with electronic gadgets. He said, fortunately enough, no life was lost and all vital documents were properly evacuated and safeguarded. The management of the scheme heartily appreciates the Federal and FCT Fire Service Department for their prompt response, which minimized the effects of the incident. Management also appreciates all security agencies for the invaluable roles they played during the unfortunate incident. The Nigerian Immigration Service, NIS, has announced the discharge of 8 of its personnel from service. It also sanctioned 18 others for various offenses. According to reports, their offenses ranged from indiscipline to unemployment, racketeering, sabotage, and other forms of corrupt practices. The NIS has come on the spotlight of the conduct of its personnel, especially at Murtala Mohammed International Airport, MMIA, in Lagos. It was learned that no less than 100 of the organization's officers and men attached to the Murtala Mohammed International Airport have been redeployed to other units and departments pending the determination of recent accusations of bribery and misconduct against them. A statement by Kenneth Kure, a chief superintendent of immigration at the public relations unit of the NIS headquarters in Abuja, said the disciplinary actions taken against the affected persons got the approval of the board. Kure signed the statement on behalf of the Comptroller General, Issa Idris Jere. He said the decision was taken following the approval granted by the Civil Defense, Correctional, Fire and Immigration Services Board, CDCFIB. The statement noted that the dismissal of 8 concerned officers followed due process and laid down measures backed by the law governing the agency. According to him, a total of 35 personnel had earlier been presented before the Senior Disciplinary Committee, SDC, and Orderly Room Trial, ORT, processes to ascertain their level of culpability in the various allegations of offenses against discipline ranging from employment racketeering, sharp practices, dishonest conduct, absence from duty without official leave, among others, as preferred against them. Now, leader of Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, Edwin Clark, says President Buhari breached the constitution by not formally transmitting power to Vice President Yemi Osinbajo before leaving for London for his routine medical checkup. Femi Adesina, special advisor to the president on media and publicity, announced Buhari's departure on Monday. He said the president is expected back in the country on the 2nd week of November. However, there was no mention of whether Osinbajo will be in charge in the president's absence. He said the vice president proved his competence when he acted as president in 2017 when Buhari was out of the country for over 100 days. He accused the president of taking Nigerians for granted and violating Section 145 of the Constitution, which mandates him to hand over power when he's traveling. Clark said the president's argument that he can only transmit power when his trip exceeds 21 days is unknown to law. In 2019, President Buhari said the only time he needs to travel over to Osinbajo is when he is proceeding on leaving going to be out of the country for more than 21 days. What Section 145 says is that the President shall transmit to the National Assembly the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives whenever he will be away on medical vacation. Overseeing of the affairs of the government is acting president is a must by the Constitution. Use the word shall, which is obligatory, and anything done outside it is unconstitutional and illegal. On insecurity, in the wake of worries about the possibility of a terror attack on nation's capital, Abuja, President Muhammadu Buhari has again reassured Nigerians that irrespective of the posturing of some Western nations, Nigeria's security agencies are in firm control of all threats. Irrespective of what the Western nations are saying, Nigeria is safe as our security agencies have firm control over security issues and any impending threat, they are more than capable to thrash it, he said. He advised Nigerians to completely ignore the false alarm raised by some foreign nations, including the travel advisory recently issued by United States and United Kingdom governments, which generated purple. The president, who spoke on managing conflict-sensitive information, also advised executives in public and private organizations to have confidence and grant unrestricted access to persons who manage their image. He said Nigeria in recent time has witnessed several security challenges such as Boko Haram activities, banditry, kidnapping and herders farmers clashes, frequent assaults on key national assets and infrastructure, oil bunkering, electrical stroke communication installation vandalism, and many more. Also, the Department of State Services, DSS, has again denied raiding the Trademore Estate in Abuja alongside personnel of the United States Army, saying the Nigerian Army is competent enough to partner in such operations. Director General, State Services, Yusuf Magaji Bichi, who was represented by Dr. Peter Afunanya, said the service will continue to pursue its mandate without fear or favor. He said, and I quote, "The DSS will continue to pursue its mandate without let or fear. We shall do this without any form of obstruction. This information has come to stay. People will cast narratives that are fake, and we have to rise up to the challenge." Recently, some persons said the DSS carried out an operation with a foreign military. It is not true. There was nothing like that. There was never a time the DSS carried out such an operation. We have an army that is strong, and we will continue to work with our own army should such need arises. If we need to work with the NSCDC or police, we shall do that. Where we need to work alone, we shall do that without any fear. Our mandate is clear and sacrosanct. Nigeria is the religion of the DSS. The DSS is dedicated to the indissolubility of Nigeria. We are committed to the indivisibility of Nigeria. And finally, 3 days after abducting over 40 workers, including 39 children at a farm in Merua community in Faskari local government area of Katsina State, their abductors are now demanding 30 million naira as ransom. They also stated that they want to have a dialogue with the owner of the farm where the victims were abducted. They vowed not to release the captives until either of their demands are met. The victims are from different villages in Faskari and Funtua local government areas of Katsina State. The number included 39 children who could not run when the terrorists struck, according to reports. According to more reports from someone who wished to remain anonymous for security reasons, that the terrorists had reached out to some of the parents of the abducted children on Monday, demanding 30 million naira to free the children. He said the owner of the farm was not around. The farm was under one of his staff when the victims abducted. The terrorists reached out to some parents for the ransom, but they suddenly called to say they will not accept anything less than the mentioned ransom or direct access to the owner of the farm. They said they had made their investigations and found out that the owner of the farm is very rich. The situation now is they've remained adamant only speaking with the owner of the farm, he said. He, however, could not confirm if the owner of the farm had agreed to speak with the terrorist or not. When contacted, the police spokesperson in Katsina, Gambo Isa, said the command was aware of the abduction. And that's all on the news. Stay tuned with Joyce Jakada and her guests as they continue with tonight's discussion. Joyce, over to you.
Thank you so much, for the news break. And then to our viewers out, remember we are live on YouTube and Television International. You can do well to join the conversation as well as drop your comments on the issues that will be discussed shortly. We will be right back after the break to begin the discussion with Barrister Godfrey Matthew. Stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. You're on to National Talk on ECWA Television International. Tonight, to discuss some national issues, I have Barrister Godfrey Matthew. Good evening and welcome to National Talk.
Good evening, Joyce. My pleasure. Our viewers.
All right, going straight to UK medical trip of President Muhammadu Buhari. Like, you know, I'm so happy that you're here because there are some constitutional issues that are coming out from that UK medical trip. Recall that this is not the first time that the president is going for the medical trip. Like in 2022, March, he went for a medical trip, in July too, and then now November, he's going for 2 weeks medical trip, according to the reports we saw. So an elder statesman talking about the former Minister of Information, Edwin Clark, says that President Muhammadu Buhari cannot govern the country while on medical trip. He said it is unconstitutional for him not to hand over officially to the vice president. What do you make of this?
I think the sage is right. That is by Edwin Clark. He got it right from the constitutional perspective. From the province of Section 145 of the 1999 Constitution, it is stated that whenever the president wants to proceed on vacation or to state any reason why he could not discharge his duty, which could include ill health, because this is one of the qualifications for disqualification of the president, he should give a written declaration to the president of the Senate or the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And by doing that, the vice president should automatically assume the office as the acting vice president. So that's the constitutional stipulation. And I think we have that repeated incidents. You remember, was it 2019 or 18, when the president was about going out for medical trips, that he lasted longer, more than, I think, 90 days. So there was a framework by then to write to the Speaker of the House of Assembly, House of Representatives, and the President of the Senate that the Vice President should act as a coordinating president. And a lot of learned Nigerians and patriotic Nigerians raise an objection to that there's no phrase as coordinating president as far as the provision of the Nigerian Constitution is concerned, 145. And the requirement is that it is the president that will submit that declaration to the Senate as well, the next president as well as the House of Representatives, and not the presidency. And so these are the issues that, constitutional issues that borders on the legitimacy of what the president ought to have done before embarking on medical trip.
Okay. I'm going to read something that I'm going to quote Per Edwin Clark here. He said, "We understand that files are taken to Mr. President abroad whenever he's away for him to append his signature." And he said, "This is spending money and other resources recklessly." He spoke about not to talk about the cost of parking the presidential jet outside the country with a number of personnel and security detail who accompany Mr. President on this trip. And the concern raised is the fact at the time where Nigeria as a nation is talking about lack of funds, deficits in our budget, among others, like taking files to him while he's away, he's just something he described as reckless. Maybe you want to make a comment on that.
It is an extravagant expenditure of state resources.
Okay.
Why do you need to take those files when we have the acting president here?
Okay.
Why in fact, if we have a very functional and active parliament, that act alone qualifies for impeachment, because it means that there's a disconnect between the president and his vice president. So if they can take a particular state executive function to be executed by the president, maybe in his sickbed or in his hospital in UK, it is even an affront on the sovereignty of Nigeria, whereby a president is exercising his presidential function in another country in a status of incapacity. And so you now see that they say disconnect. And so we keep asking is that what is wrong with this file? What is is that file that they are transferring, is it of a national interest? Why is it that the parliament does so? Why is it that the vice president is kept away from it? Let me tell you one thing. In 1945, when the World War was going on in America, 1943, 1944, when the World War was going on in America, Roosevelt, who was the one that started the declaration of the war, died. And the moment he died, Harry Truman was sworn in as a president to continue with all the issues. And even before that was when they were able to discuss how will they end the war, whether there will be Manhattan Project will be approved to detonate the bomb in Japan to end the war. That is where you have a consistency in governance. He did not hide anything to his successor. Now, God forbid, who knows what Buhari is doing there? If maybe, God forbid, something happened with him that led to the cessation of his life, how will the vice president or the acting president continue with the weapon? So leadership, trust must between the president and the vice president, there must be a connect so that it is a relay that whenever you reach, you give him the baton to continue. That's what we're expecting to be reflected in Nigerian democracy today.
I do agree, Les, between, people elect leaders on the basis of trust. And for the fact that you pick somebody to be your running mate, it means that there's some level of trust. So we shouldn't be seeing otherwise in reality or in practice. So we look forward to a time where leaders will actually not just pick people because they want to please maybe a particular segment of the nation.
Let me tell you, there's no connection between Osibanjo and Buhari as far as leadership is concerned. You remember, anytime Buhari wanted to play the constitutional role with Osibanjo, as far as his duty is concerned, you find out that some ethnic or sectarian agenda is interfering. We know what transpired in 2019 when the issue behind all debacle surrounding the coordinating office of the vice president, coordinating president, and the presidency. It virtually most of those things, he's supposed to be there. We know when certain statutory functions that are supposed to be performed by the vice president is no longer being represented. So there's a disconnect between the president and the vice president. I can challenge you to go, when Obasanjo started, he has a very smooth sail with Atiku, to an extent that he went around in 2000, 2001, trying to address Nigerian foreign policy because Abacha has made Nigeria to be in a bad light. He left domestic affairs to Atiku. Atiku was the chairman of privatization. I think it was in Atiku's exercise of power that when he came, he found out that there's a conflict to such an extent that Atiku built loyalty that is even about presidency. So that's when we have the problem. When after him, Goodluck Jonathan and Shehu Yar'Adua and Musa Yar'Adua, the same thing. He handed over power to Goodluck, and incidentally, he trained Goodluck in such a way that when he ceases to be a president, Goodluck wrote on the walls of his what? Of his loyalty. That is a synergy. But why is it here? Can you tell me, since Buhari came into power, what has he done in such a way that you can say he has groomed Osibanjo or Osibanjo can conclude? There is a gap. There is a wall of separation between Osibanjo. Some people are saying that he is a Yoruba person, be careful of Osibanjo. Some people are saying that the same thing that he did, maybe we come to. So it is mostly Nigerian are seen as a north-south dichotomy. Their presidency and the vice presidency of what? The presidency of Buhari and the vice presidency of Osibanjo does not reflect the flow in national unity. There is no glue that will say that they are working together compared to other president and vice president.
Well, it's not something that Nigerians will want to see, because when there is lack of synergy among leaders, that alone is a threat to national security. And we hope to see trust being practiced amongst our leaders, not just to tell Nigerians to trust each other, to work together, and then yet we're not living that example. When we begin to see it, I think it's going to be better for the nation as a whole. You know, when it comes to politicians or leaders, once there's shared interest, then you see them entangling. But the moment an interest is being infringed upon, you see people trying to work like enemies. But well, we hope to see our leaders working together so that they will set good examples for their followers. Moving straight to 2023 presidency. You know, since the unveiling of the campaign process, you've been seeing political parties, individuals traveling from one place to the other, meeting with groups to talk about, seek their, will I say, you know, some people will say that this group has actually giving these particular candidates their mandates and all. Sometimes when I see all of that, I start wondering whether it's about some individual or it's about Nigerians. But like I always say, 2023 will determine who becomes the president or holds any political position. Ahead of the 2023 presidency, Barrister, we've been seeing a lot of fireworks, especially amongst between the APC and the PDP. Like they've been intensifying their fireworks, and you begin to wonder, is it supposed to be issue-based campaign, or is it supposed to be based on insults? Or like, I begin to think, with all the challenges that Nigerians are facing, people that are supposed to become leaders, you see them throwing tantrums at each other. One of it is coming from Atiku. He said Nigerians won't elect a ghost president. Atiku tells Tinubu. And in a twist, next year we will retire the political tourists back to Dubai. That's coming from Shetima. He fires back. And then we also have Shetima suffering from amnesia, says Atiku campaign group. It didn't end there. APC, Tinubu can't unite Nigeria, coming from Dele Momodu. Like, what do you make of these fireworks amidst all the challenges Nigerians are facing?
I think among them, the most fair comment that I can judge is that of Dele Momodu.
Okay.
It appears to be ideological base to say a particular candidate cannot unite Nigeria. And you can look at it critically, constitutionally. Tinubu's candidacy, Tinubu's political trajectory does not portray the unity of Nigeria. Muslim ticket, no Nigerian in clear conscience to the fear of God and to the dictate of his conscience can vouch for that and say that this is fairness in a democratic setup. So his comment is fair. Now the other people that are commenting, I was expecting at this stage to have brainworks, words that will come, ideological wordings, ideological polemics as to how the security architecture of Nigeria will be improved and be used as an economic tool of revamping the decrepit economy. We are now we're expecting to see how can we talk about minimizing the expenditure that is in our administration. How can we use security to boost up the unemployment in the country? How can we use the challenges we're having in Nigeria, turn them for good? How can we look at the insecurity that is affecting agricultural produce, and how can we, these are the ideological issues we should be taking. And I think our political culture, I was discussing elsewhere with some colleagues, and I said that it is high time that our electoral laws should clearly specify limits to campaign wordings. You don't come to say that a particular person is a ghost person. It could be metaphoric in the sense that he is may not be in the present, he can be ruled by proxy. Okay? But going to say that somebody is a political prostitute, is a tourist, let me tell you one thing. Political tourism, while I'm not endorsing it, sometimes you need to find out that the sportsmanship in politics, they will tell you that politics is like a football. The fact that everybody is playing a specific position, you have number 9, you have number 10, you have number 11, everybody has his function. But it does not mean that because you are number 1, that is the goalkeeper, if you score a goal, it could be disallowed. No. You can be in APC today, you can be in PDP today, you can be in all your party. All people are looking at how can you deliver good leadership. If PDP has not been a good platform for you, you come for APC. If people see it, freedom of religion. That is why, Joyce, we have said it on different platforms, that this is the spirit behind why you see that the camping, political defection by executive is allowed, while that of the legislature is disallowed. Because sometimes if the executive come into power, the parliament, the legislators could coup against them to ensure that they dance to the party loyalty. But at the presidency, at the governorship, his interest is execution of the policies that will affect all Nigerians, not the party. So that's why they say leeway for that. And so you can understand with me that based on this, calling somebody political prostitute, calling what, this does not matter. On what ideological basis does he live? If he lives because of trauma infrastructure, apology to Fayoshe, or he because of greed, or maybe to compromise certain sanctions, then his identity will be put into question. But if a particular person comes from a political party as a protest to pursue a further prospective vision for his nation, this should be accommodated. Now you look at it also from this angle that my problem is Nigerian political culture is not a good course to be taught in secondary school today. In those days when we are growing up, we hear of Jaja Wachuku in social studies, we hear about all these people. These are people that the passion for nationalism in their mind is there. But can you tell me today, the Minister of Information, the spokesperson of the presidency, the people, are they taking anything that promote the nation, interest nation? Can you tell me that? Ask these children nowadays, who are the governors of their states? Can they name 4 or 5 governors? In those days, no. And you find out that we are able to know the governors from north to south because we have the passion of the country at heart. But now, they will tell you middle belt. Small children are mentioning middle belt. Small children are mentioning south-south. Small children. You can see the effect of that. We choose people to be our political spokesman, not because they can deliver. We want them because they are tough. They are tough. They are good at abusive words. They are lyrical. They are lyrical masters when it comes to casting aspersion on personalities instead of breeding ideas that will build up nations. And so we see that the best way now, if I want to have a political spokesman now, is to look for somebody who can abuse, who is good with abusive words. But that is not what Nigerians. The Nigerian of today, that's one thing I give it to Peter Obi. He calls his and tell them that, no, don't fight on my behalf. This is a new movement that is coming to the reality of Nigeria. Why should they, Atiku, be calling Tinubu ghost workers? Even in metaphor, such language is not ethical. Atiku is one of, among all these politicians that are coming up, Atiku is one of the guys that has a pedigree that he need not to come down to that level. Despite the challenges he's having in APC to get PDP to get himself in order, he's one of the, because all of them, Atiku started politics and experienced different dispensations than them. If which were horses based on precedence and seniority of politics. If politics is a promotion, I think Atiku should be the president because he started the campaign. But you see, there is a time that an elder man should know when to apply wisdom, not to come down to the arena of children in marketplace. So these are some of they should not descend down to that level. People, Dele Mahmoud's comment is fair. Tinubu's comment, and the one that Adam Oshomole was busy ranting, abusing Atiku. This is why I'm saying that it is high time INEC should have it. Any political officer that does not campaign in a culture, in a well-cultured way, that political party should face certain sanction. Because you can't go to certain people and be telling us that you must vote for us. If for him to become a president, I remember he must become a particular person. He must become a particular person. He must become a member of a particular religion. He must become a member of a particular tribe. This is against the electoral laws.
And you know, like when you're talking about the fact that they just elect spokesperson on the basis of, oh, this person can actually help throw tantrums when people are insulting or rendering abuse. Just this morning, there was a quote from Malai, Dino Malai, say, calling Shetima Grand Commander of Bandits. And I was really worried about this. Like, why would we not be sensitive to the challenges that Nigerians are facing at this time? And then these are people that are actually seeking to represent this nation. And means all this problem we're facing, dollars keep rising every day compared to our Naira, depreciation of the Naira, a lot of challenges. Look at the issue of out-of-school children, unemployment. Today, we are seeing us to complain of the fact that they were just paid half salary. More than 10,000 doctors are practicing in UK and other countries. Our dilapidated roads and even the inflation. Some people cannot even feed on the 101 basis. People are just 001, so that it won't be like you didn't eat for a whole day. Look at all these challenges that Nigeria are facing. Currently, flood has destroyed a lot of farmlands, houses. People are at the IDPs. Then, instead of you to see people that are aspiring to become leaders, coming to say, this is what I'm going, if you elect me, this is what I'm going to do with the out-of-school children. This is what I'm bringing issues that are actually disturbing the nation, and then coming up with providing solutions to them. People are busy insulting themselves. Well, to Nigerians out there, I don't know what 2023 election means to you, but I think it is important that we begin to set agendas for anybody that is coming to seek for political position. You need to start asking questions, intelligent questions, like the right question. Like, this is not time to start clapping hands, dancing, and then wearing some t-shirts and then showing solidarity. Go with pen and papers. Begin to ask questions based on the challenges. What are you going to do? How are you going to do them? Write them down. Let's begin to hold people accountable. Like, you know, Nigerians, like, we've developed this culture of, oh, I invited him to my cultural day and he donated 30 million. So this person is well, forgetting the fact that it's representing your constituency. You don't have roads, no hospital facility, like children are out of school, but because he donated 30 million to your cultural festival, you start clapping for people. Like, we easily forget. I think it is time that we reduce some of these expectations and start holding people accountable. Still on this 2023 presidency, you recall that these people signed the peace accord. I don't know if it has implication or there are no implications, because beyond these candidates, their supporters are also touring the path of insulting each other, throwing tantrums, and then going even to social media platform like Facebook, insulting themselves, calling their self-name in the name of demarketing. Now, why we're really emphasizing on this, because for a peaceful election, it is from the electioneering process that you can actually determine that. Like, this peace accord that was signed, is it that it doesn't have implication, or what, that we're seeing all these things happening?
When you were talking, the question that came to my mind was that Hitler, Germans, after the First World War, they signed the peace accord. But they later prevailed and gave birth to what led to Second World War. Signing peace accord without a stringent constitutional or legal backup to hold the signatories and the parties accountable will not help us a long way. It is mere a diplomatic gesture or a civic gesture to make people know that. And we commend our fathers, especially Matthew Hassan, Reverend Father Archbishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, among those people that initiate this idea of peace accord. It's a good civic gesture. But the problem is that how can we bring it down to the level of accountability to the major stakeholders in the politics? If there's a breach of peace in Kaduna State, who is going to be responsible, APC in Kaduna or APC all over. So these are the things that we should sit down. We need a team of arbitrators and alternative dispute resolution experts to see how can that be effective. So these are some of the issues. But as far as practice has shown, peace accord mostly appeal to a civic gesture and its people expectation. The issue we are talking about, let me tell you, Nigerian politics is changing for good. Go back and do some statistic research. The literacy level in Nigeria is increasing. There is only one part of the country that is always stagnant in that regard, and I can say categorically, northern Nigeria. In the northern Nigeria, northeast. What is the problem? Northeast, not central, northwest. What is the problem? The problem is that the leadership has used that as an instrument of manipulation of the people. Mostly religion, ethnicity. Look at the history of Nigeria. Which country has the highest, which region has the highest number of political leaders? It's from the northern Nigeria. So if politics is about bringing development, northern Nigeria by now will have been the Dubai of Nigeria. The reverse is the case. All indexes are in the negative when you bring it to northern Nigeria. So why is it not going like this? Among them, people are consulting themselves. If they are victim of political manipulation, somebody will come and abuse Atiku or abuse Tinubu because I think I'm a northerner. Atiku is coming, I will support him. That is the problem. So we should be able to, somebody should abuse Peter Obi because Peter Obi is an Igbo, and me, I am from North, or I'm a Yoruba person, I will be happy. That is when we will continue to sink into the depth of the national strategy we are. But may God forbid, it's a time that we sensitize ourselves to come out of this valley of deception that we have been plunged into by politicians who have nothing to offer for the country.
That's true. You know, people go ahead to say it is our turn. So whether it is a criminal, he's the ambassador of the people. So let him rule like that.
Let me tell you, I respect the Afenifere group for coming out boldly to be even on the divisive to say that they don't endorse Tinubu as their son. Not because he's not their son. Many of them, I granted an interview in radio station in Lagos about 2 times. People call. And you can see among the Lagosians, they were able to express their mind to say that they are not happy with the Muslim ticket. If it is about competence, let me tell you, Joyce, mark my word, there is no religion, there is no tribe out of the 400 or something tribe we have in Nigeria, or 300, I'm not
over 500.
We have. I am telling you, there is no tribe, no person from any tribe that is not competent to govern Nigeria if given the chance.
That's true.
So what basis are we using? So the Yoruba were able to come out and denounce their son and deny and say that he has not towed the right path of righteousness, fairness, and justice as far as it's concerned. So we want to see how other people will equally come the same. Buhari is in power, not than as before. They don't want anybody to touch Buhari. But we're not talking about kidnappers. If you have something about them, tell us, let's discuss.
Well, I have talking about security is Nigeria over time and over the years have been facing the challenge of insecurity. Is one challenge that we've been unable to deal with, and for years, like when we talk about Boko Haram, it has existed for over a decade. Like joke bandits have existed over 4 years now, and in the wake of the U.S. terror alerts and even other foreign nations, President Muhammadu Buhari have told Nigerians to ignore the false alarm. In fact, he said that our security agencies have everything under their control. So Nigerians should ignore that terror alert. You recall that when the U.S. Embassy gave that terror alert, it was actually directed to their staff, and they told them to be careful with their movement. There is an alert, Abuja, and then UK High Commission also gave another terror alert, calling states like Borno, Kano, amongst other states, and saying people should be careful with travels, among others. And then we saw how that some malls closed. Some schools have also closed temporarily, resolving to online teachings. People were careful with movement. In fact, the U.S. Embassy have actually withdrawn their workers. And then President Buhari say ignore that false alarm. this is not the first time we're seeing terror alert. In fact, in April of this year, there was an alert, 5th of April, and on the 6th of July, that was when the Kuje prison attack happened. Before the abduction of the Chibok girls, there was an alert, and then it happened. And this is not the first time we're having terror alert. In fact, nations like United States are precautionary in terms of security issues. So they always keep their citizens updated about security alert and all of that. And in the wake of this terror alerts, President Muhammadu Buhari, before leaving for the UK for a medical trip, he said Nigerians should go about their normal activities. In fact, ignore false terror alert by the foreign nations. What do you make of this?
Rumor is one of the preamble to true intelligence report. In security, you don't take rumors for granted. It gives you the opportunity to assess your preparedness, or it gives you the opportunity also to prepare, to assess how unprepared you are. Rumor also tests the readiness of your arsenal in combating whatever you will face. Most of these rumors we've been hearing, they came out as a what? They came out to be true. Initially, who have thought that Boko Haram will attack the United Nations Secretary in 1st October 2010? He said it was a rumor, and we saw it. Most of the incident that happened was a rumor. But one thing I agree with the presidency is that it is their constitutional role and it is the responsibility of the government to provide safety for its citizens. And in doing so, they have to give people reassurances that they are doing. And I can tell you that categorically, we can see the effort of the government sending security apparatus to Abuja as well as other. But I think they should equally deploy more artificial intelligence in combating some of those issues. You know, Nigerians are overstretched and we are overstretched. And you should also be careful. The Sun Tzu will say one of the rules of war, okay, Chinese philosopher, is deception. The enemy may say they want to attack Abuja. Let's not take all our forces to Abuja. Let's leave some in other states so that they can be able. This is a time that we should call it. What I was not happy was the government approach in Abuja to say that people should surrender their licensed arms. No, I don't think that should be right. This is their guaranteed right to self-defense. In such situation, nobody's sure how prepared government is. So in time like this, the community can mobilize themselves either as levy a mass, that is a billion come in a situation where they are supposed to defend. They can mobilize themselves to defend. Community policing, community security could alternate this Boko Haram. Let me tell you one thing. Sometimes this information they may send is to test the potential preparedness of the government or even the civilians. They want to see, okay, if we now say that we are attacking Abuja, so people will start leaving Abuja and going to village. So they will say, okay, people. But if they see that people are now saying, okay, there's one life to live, God help us to protect ourselves, they will know that these people are. And if government cooperate well with these people in a well-planned, coordinated manner, by the grace of God, we shall overcome. We will defeat them by the grace of God.
You know what interests me about the whole thing is the fact that Nigerians are alert. Like when you see the body language everywhere, nobody's just relenting because the government are saying, go about your business and all of that. Everybody's just alert.
Because I'm telling you, Nigerians are practically. I lost my sister-in-law in the bombing of the 14 May of twin bomb that happened on 14 May of 2014 in just here. What other thing will have is closer to me? We're in an area that you will find meet every 10 out of every Nigerian. Now, take it practical in this. Ask them, have a question. 10 out of every respondent will tell you that he's either affected by first, second, third degree of the effect of terrorism. So if you tell them now to go, it was before I put used to go to village. But now, people are saying that, God, we surrender everything into your hand. Where we will defend ourselves, help us. Where you can do it, we call it into your hand. And this is a time that government should liaise with the citizens to see that these bad elements are misused are flushed. And that's why I'm suggesting the deployment of artificial intelligence. I learned that the federal government is inviting the Turkey military, the military to come and help them. It's a good strategy, but we should also see how there's a synergy between this. I don't, personally on my own, I don't know why this government have a penchant of the military diplomacy with Turkey, Afghanistan, and countries that I know them in by global firepower indexed are not in the first 10th ranking. You know, when the previous administration were saying, by they look at the firepower index where you have the US, the India, the China, and some of these things, they could help us militarily. So we can have sincerity in them. But when you look at a country like Nigeria, resorting to military diplomacy with countries that have indexes, negative indexes toward insecurity, then a well-informed Nigerian will ask that, can a man be a judge in his own case? Some of these nations we know have one connection or the other regarding terrorism with Nigeria or one country abroad. So we find out that we want a country that is truly an advocate against anti-terrorism, not a country that is a passive apostle of terrorism in the name of freedom fighters or whatsoever you can call.
That's true. You know, we always have this culture of quickly debunking claims without even empirical data. I think it is important that we don't ignore the place of international relationships when messages like this come. Like, we can, as a nation, meet these people. How did you come about this data? And then you come back to your Nigerians and say, based on XYZ, I think this is it. But rather than quickly dismissing this, Nigerians have been affected, like you said earlier on, through diverse means. And then people don't want to just be carried unaware. And so I think it is important that we are deliberate. That's the primary responsibility of government, protection of lives and property. And when you fail in that, you have failed as a leader. So I think it's important we take that serious. Quickly, let me, there's a quote still on that alerts from the president. He said, irrespective of what the Western nations are saying, Nigeria is safe as our security agencies have firm control over security issue and any impending threats. They are more than capable to trash it, he said. And to our next story, insecurity, terrorists demand 30 million ransom for the 39 abducted Katsina children. He said Nigeria is safe. And then, apart from those that were kidnapped on their way to Anambra from Jos, we had these 39 children too kidnapped. There was attack in Bokos and other parts of Nigeria. And then the president is saying Nigeria is safe and these children have been kidnapped. And then here comes the bandits demanding for 30 million ransom for these children. My concern in one is this issue of paying of levies. You know, they call the owner of the farmland. He was about to go for harvest and they say, before you harvest your crop, you have to pay 3 million. And he gave them 1 million naira. And then when he employed these people to go and work on the farm, they actually surrounded them and then they abducted them. The adults that were able to escape, they actually escaped. And like, I'm concerned about this issue of paying levies. This is your own farm and then you're going to harvest crop. You are being asked to pay levy. And then after the kidnap, there's issue of ransom. What about the issue of food security? Farmers have been attacked. We've seen how farmers have been attacked on their way to farmlands. Even in Benue recently, when farmers were headed to their farm, they were attacked. And then this is not the first time we're seeing that farmers were going to harvest and they are being attacked. There's also the psychological and mental implication of this issue. What's your take?
The incident in Katsina, where the president comes from, after the president assurance and reassurance to Nigeria that all is well, they are on top of the situation, it's a clear indication of telling you that the terrorists are in control in certain part of this country. Let me tell you one thing that derobs a nation of its sovereignty is when a group that is a non-state actor is imposing levy on a citizen of a country that pay tax. The issue you are now having here is that in the eyes of the international community and in intellectual discourse, the incident of Katsina could be a good project to situate a fact that child labor, insecurity, and food insecurity, the effects on Nigerian populace. Look at the issue there. Children that were taken to that farm, why do they need to go to that farm? It's a sign of poverty that children are exposed to labor at that age. And now, the major international laws prohibit children of that age to be engaged in such farm. But because of the feasibility of poverty and inavailability in Nigeria, They have no option than to be engaged in that activity. Secondly, look at the issue of food security. That man, they know his worth. They know what that farm could bring for the produce. So they are even allowing people to harvest and determine. In fact, they are negotiating farming. What now remains is after him now, giving them the money, the ransom from his farm produce. The next thing they will do now is even become the landlord of that territory to ask him that they are leasing it for him, he must pay them before he farms. And that is what you call subtle taking over of territory. My question is that, how did these people come into being to be stable like this? Who stabilized these people? Who are sponsoring them? A Nigerian government telling us in the true dictate of their conscience as leaders and collectively as security officials that they don't know anything about these people. For you, somebody to come and tell you, and look at the money they are demanding. The issue of the money they are demanding, do you know that this money is a threat to insecurity? Who will now feel free to go around that area? When this thing started, and that's why all these things, I'm praying that my brothers in the north should be able to see that sentiment to religion, sentiment to ethnicity does not immune you from the failure of bad leadership. It does not, and it will never. Sentiment to religion, sentiment to immunity can never, sentiment to ethnicity can never be an immunity against bad leadership. If you like, call God, call Jesus, and say that you are doing a wrong thing, and you think that because you are doing a wrong thing, when bad thing came, you deliberately sinned, and sometimes you can accept the mercy of God. No, that is what happened. Our people in the northern part of the country are under ideological bondage. But we are praying that this is the high time that they should come out and say, if they perish, they perish. The world will stand with them. You can't tell me that. Look at the situation in Zamfara. Niger, North Central, Northwest is experiencing virtually this thing. Zamfara, we had the issue of gold some other day, the bandits. And even these bandits are awarding people that are related to them. Some of them are even given national honors. Where are we going in this country? So these are the things that they should know. Threat to food security, threat to the psychological well-being of farmers, as well as threat to the welfare of children. These children are not supposed to be there. You call them, you want to show them and say, this is what you want to do. So they should be done. There's no security in this country. We now pray. Let me tell you one thing. The security, let me use this phrase, the insecurity sector is manipulating and dominating the Nigerian security sector. All they are now telling us is that they want to attack Abuja. And now, while we are preparing to go to Abuja, they are kidnapping people in Kano. They are kidnapping people in Katsina. They are kidnapping people from Anambra to Jos. So the moment they go there, we take to play there. It's just like Maradona. They check the order sanction, we go there, we thought the ball is there, they dribble around this place. So that's why I say the Nigerian security forces should be concentrating. They should not yield to the ruse and deception that they want to do this. They may attack, but we should have an alternative repelling factors in other areas. We should engage in more community policing. That's why we're saying that the issue of state policing should be encouraged. Restructuring is necessary. If you don't claim to be ignorant as to what restructuring is, you are not ignorant to the failure to understand what restructuring is.
That's very true. Barrister Godfrey Matthew, thank you so much for creating time to speak with us on National Talk. Great analysis as always. Thank you so much. Our time is actually fast spent and we need to go. So our viewers out there, thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of National Talk. Believing you've learned a lot from national issues. I don't know what 2023 general election means to you, but it is important that you take that very serious. When people come to you seeking for endorsement, seeking for vote, ensure you hold them accountable. Ask them intelligent questions that will address the challenges that we are facing in this nation. Remember that leaders who come into power through faulty means and God for that reason cannot bring the change we desire. Let's look out for people who have ideas, people that are ready to cut the cost of governance, people that have love for this nation. Nigeria is a great and egalitarian society. Let's uphold the dreams of our founding fathers by doing the needful. Until we come your way next week, you have a great weekend. Bye-bye.